Earlier today, one of Cramer's faves, Starbucks, held its annual shareholder meeting, except that it did it online because anything else would have been irresponsible. This was supposed to be, and still is, a celebration of the coffee chain's 50th year anniversary. But with the rapid spread of COVID-19, it ended up being about what the company's doing to stop the spread and help its associates. I think Starbucks is being a model employer here. They're giving their workers paid sick leave, catastrophe pay, and a new new mental health benefit that also extends to their families. Meanwhile, the company's shifting to a to-go model in North America to cope with the pandemic. There was also some good news. 90% of their stores in China are now back in business, which is, I find, very reassuring. Do not take it from me, though. Let's dig deeper with one of my absolute faves. Let's go to Kevin Johnson. He's the president and CEO of Starbucks. Learn more about how he's navigating his way through this crisis. Mr. Johnson, welcome back to Mad Money.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me today.
Kevin, first, and all this craziness, can I just wish a happy 50th? It's a pretty big deal.
Well, thanks, Jim. We're approaching that 50th, and we kind of laid this out as the road to the 50th, and so we're within 12 months, and we're focused on our priority, which is ensuring for the health and well-being of our Starbucks partners and the customers that visit our stores. We're working hard with local health officials and government leaders to help them as they work to contain and mitigate this virus. And number three, we're working hard just to show up in a positive way in the 32,000 communities where our stores are located around the world.
Yeah, I was reading some research from about a month and a half ago, and it talked about the 15 to 18 cent headwind for China. And then I read your comments that you sent to me today about China, and I was thinking, you know what? It's a river. It can be crossed. Tell us about China and how that could be what could happen to our country.
Yeah, well, this is part of what gives us great confidence in how we're navigating this globally. You know, it's been about 60 days. In fact, I think it's day 58 since we started working on this in China. And over that 58-day period, certainly we went through the valley and closed stores, and we implemented new safety protocols, including, this to-go option in those stores in China. And over the last few weeks, we began reopening those stores. And, we said 2 weeks ago to our investors we'd have 95% of those stores opened, all stores in China, 95% open by the end of March. And we're tracking ahead of that plan. So as we've looked at this, clearly it gives us great confidence that the strategy we've taken and the approach we've used in China is working. And so China is on the uptick. Now, certainly it's going to take some time for customer occasions to keep growing, but we have a model, and China is recovering, at or slightly above the model that we put in place. That gives us confidence. And we took all the learnings that we had in China, and we have now applied them into the United States and every other market around the world. And the learnings are, number one, if we implement the increased cleaning procedures in our stores and the protocols around that, if we go to this to-go model where customers can order mobile order or through a drive-through or in the store for takeaway, they take their beverage and food out and they don't congregate in our stores. That, combined with closing some stores, for example, in the U.S., we've closed mall stores and other stores in areas where there's clusters of outbreaks. That model works. And it worked in China. We're here now roughly 60 days in. We've seen that V curve, and we're now on the mend. In fact, just yesterday, I got the word from Belinda Wong in China that we started now opening some Starbucks stores in Hubei province. And that is a big accomplishment.
Jeez. Well, they're ahead of us, most certainly, but it's just time. Perhaps we can do exactly what they did without their martial law. Let me ask you a question, Kevin. How do I know when I go to my Starbucks that the person behind the counter is healthy? I know there was an incident. It could happen to anybody, and it is happening to everybody. But I want to be sure. And I also worry, look, while I'm waiting, I got people ahead of me and people behind me. What do I do?
Well, first of all, we have worked very, very hard to make sure we prioritize taking care of our partners. And we call everyone that works at Starbucks a partner. And in terms of taking care of our partners, the first thing we did is we have a paid sick policy that we extended for the purpose of dealing with COVID-19, which means any partner that has any symptoms or feels like they might have COVID-19, they stay home and we fully pay them. If the partner has tested positive, certainly we pay them. If they haven't had a test, but they just suspect they've been either exposed to it or they're feeling some symptoms, they stay home and we pay them. If a partner is even caring for a loved one who may have been exposed or has been confirmed to have COVID-19, we also pay them for that. So we've enhanced all of the sick time so a partner never has to choose between their health and work. They always choose their health and they stay home. That's number one. Number two, we've worked with the CDC and other local health officials to make sure the cleanliness in the stores, things are wiped down on a regular basis. At our point of sale, we have our partners wearing the rubber gloves dealing with cash. And so we have put sort of the social distancing policies in place that we learned in China in our U.S. stores. And as we've implemented this to-go model, customers come in, they take their food and beverage, and they leave. And that model has proven to work in China, and it is working in the United States.
Okay, so Kevin, that's exactly how I'm hoping, because that's where I go. Where I go for my coffee. Now, there's another issue that got sticky. A good friend of mine, Mark Cuban, today questioned the notion of buybacks. At the same time, your stock's been cut in half. My Charitable Trust has always owned Starbucks. I'm actually grateful that you're buying, because therefore it shows me that you think it's cheap. And one other time you told me right around this level that it was cheap, and then you caught a double. What is your view as a person who is a model corporate citizen, I will say that, on buybacks as the right thing to do, and why this buyback right now?
Well, first of all, let me just say why we're so confident. Number one, what we did in China worked, and we're now applying that in the U.S., and we're tracking that in the U.S. That gives us confidence. Number two, we have a strong balance sheet and all the financial resources we need to navigate this situation and come out stronger as a company. That said, our board yesterday approved the quarterly dividend of 41 cents a share, and they approved our normal share buyback. Okay. It was not, what we approved yesterday was not anything above and beyond our normal share buyback that we'll do over the next 18 months. This share buyback that was approved will take us through the end of fiscal year 21. So we're being thoughtful and responsible. Look, we've got a strong balance sheet. We've got a BBB investment credit rating. I think if you look at our last earnings call, we had something like $3 billion of cash on the balance sheet. We've got another $3 billion line of credit, revolving credit. And so we've modeled every possible scenario that we think can happen, even extreme scenarios, and we're going to be just fine. We are resilient, and we've thought that through both from how we're operating in our stores. We're resilient on the balance sheet. And we're going to be just a responsible, thoughtful leader as we step by step go on this journey and do the right thing, starting with the right thing for our partners and our customers and all stakeholders, including the communities we serve, as well as our loyal shareholders.
Last question. You've been an ambassador. Obviously, you're now going to start building stores in China. You've been a leader in the way you treat your partners. Can we get others to follow you? I don't know how you necessarily do that. I think you're also a step ahead of the government. How do you get the government to be like Starbucks?
Well, I got to say, through this COVID-19, it has really dramatically increased the amount of dialogue that we are having with government, both at federal government, state level, central government, provincial level in China, as well as local health officials. And I'd say it's a very strong collaborative relationship. Look, the entire planet, every human being on this planet is united in a common cause to stop the propagation and mitigate this virus. And so it gives us a common objective. And from that, I think we're continuing to both learn from and teach others how we can better work together. So right now, we're trying to pull together the content and information about what we learned in China. And I'm talking with many, many food and beverage leaders in the industry and sharing what we've learned with them. And that includes how to take care of people in a time of need. And so we prioritize that, and we encourage others to do as well.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. You've always been calm in a storm. You've done just a fabulous job. I agree with you, but you buy the stock's cheap. I gave a conference call today where I said, it's the cheap. What are you going to do? I'm trying to buy it at 37. Great job. And thank you for being a good guy and for saying some good stuff. We needed it. Good to see you, Kevin Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Wow. I feel better. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.